Gentili lettori di Calcio Napoli 24, ve l'avevamo promesso. Qualche giorno fa ero in compagnia di un grandissimo, con uno dei padri dell'house music al Lido Capri per un mega evento, e questa sera abbiamo l'opportunità di intervistarlo in esclusiva. Il Maradona dei DJ, Little Louie Vega. Welcome.
Hello, how are you? Happy to be here.
A questo punto lascio subito la parola a Vincenzo per questa intensa intervista e chiacchierata con un Vito dell'house music.
Grazie a Salvio Passante, il direttore di Calcio Napoli 24. Welcome to you, Miss Little Louie Vega. He was claiming you are the Maradona of the DJs. Oh. It's kind of a responsibility, no?
Well, you know, that's a huge honor. I mean, I don't, consider myself that way, but I appreciate that love, And Naples is very special to me, so.
What about your experience here in Naples? We know you spend a lot of time here. You're very famous here.
Well, Naples, is like a second home. I come from New York and I was born in the Bronx, so for me, there's a very close relationship with Naples that we've developed over many, many years, different generations of people. So it's beautiful. The people are very warm. They're wonderful, very nice, and they're very loyal. So we're the same.
It's strange because I don't know how it's in New York, if there are some differences between people, but here in Italy there are some stereotypes about Neapolitans too, and sometimes we have to fight against stereotypes against Neapolitan. What's your thinking about bad stereotypes? I tell you.
Well, we come from the same place. I'm Puerto Rican. I was born in the Bronx, and it was Hispanics and African Americans, and we grew up under that kind of an environment as well. So we understand. So, but for me, it's what I love most of all about the Neapolitans is their love for music. Is how they love, good music, good rhythms, and they love to feel good and have a good time. So we are all the same, and I think that's I can relate to the situations, and I understand.
Another great love of Neapolitans is in football. I'm pretty sure you realized it. So, which was your experience about Neapolitans and football?
Well, I have to say, I make music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I live this music, so. I understand the dedication, and what I love about the Neapolitans is their dedication and commitment to their teams. You know what I mean? So they are very dedicated, and for me, I'm the same, but with music. So I can understand, the relation. So when I come to Naples, if I'm gonna play in a club, it's never gonna be the same day as a football game. You know what I mean? You have to respect the football game.
How did you realize it? There was a day that you had to play and you had to cancel the party just because of the football team, or someone told you?
No, well, I worked very many years with Angels of Love, and they told me, Louis, we want to think about moving the date from this day to that day of the party, because this day is a very important football game. And I said, you know what, I understand. Let's move the date, So, and actually it worked because the party was very successful, which was, 2 days ago. We were here in Naples, April 25th, with my partner, Kenny Dope Gonzalez, and myself, Louie Vega's Masters at Work. And it was a very successful party, a beautiful day. The sun was out. It was a great sunset. And everybody partied all the way until midnight. It was really nice.
We are reaching to that point, your experience at Masters at Work with Kenny Dope Gonzalez. But if you have to choose a football team in Italy, which would you choose?
Naples.
Okay, okay. I had to answer.
Yes, it's Naples for sure. Naples.
So, sorry, I was speaking about it in Spanish because you told me you are Puerto Rican.
Yeah,
Puerto
we can
Rican
speak.
origins.
You want to speak Spanish? Little, we can.
No, it's better for the translation to choose just one language.
Okay.
Yeah. What about Maradona? We told you are the Maradona of DJs, and Maradona is very special here in Naples.
Wow, well, listen, that is a huge footstep to follow. You know what I mean? He is the king and you know, the #1 player of all time. So for me, it would be a dream to meet him. Just as my friend, I have a friend, Joseph, who says, you know, my dream is to meet the Maradona. I said, wow, that would be incredible, you know, because it's like meeting Michael Jordan of basketball, you know.
So you are quite fan of basketball?
Of course, yeah, I'm a fan of basketball, but you know, everybody is always a fan of who is the best in something, you know what I mean? I mean, most people are, you know, and Maradona I've been hearing about for years since I started coming here 25 years ago, you know, 26 years ago.
Which was the first thing you thought when you arrived here in Naples? The first impression?
First impression, well, you know, it's really overwhelming. There's so much, you know. I came here and you see the volcano, which, you know, I live in New York City. There's no volcanoes in New York City. You know, right in front of us, there is a huge volcano. It's beautiful. There's water, a beautiful, blue waters.
You have everything, but you don't have volcano.
You have Capri right next to you, Ischia, all these beautiful islands. The food is amazing. The people are so friendly, you know. So when I first came, it was just open arms, you know. Angels of Love, Encino, Mauricio, and the whole Angels of Love family brought me out, and it was really an amazing experience that I will never forget. And to this day, you know, I've been coming with them, and they've shown me all the great parts of the city. I've been everywhere from, you know, Posillipo to Vesuvius and back, everything in between, the center of Naples. You know, so I've had wonderful experiences out here. And the food is #1. Yeah, of course.
So let's have a jump at the past, in the past. Tell us about your childhood and how your passion was born for music.
My childhood, you know, I was born in 1965. So, you know, when I was 12 years old, I started DJing. And at that time, I was very lucky because it was, you know, the big days of disco at the same time as the birth of hip hop. So I was born in the Bronx where hip hop was born with Africa Bambaataa, Jazzy J, Red Alert, you know, Africa Islam doing the parties and the projects and all the breakdancing and everything. My sisters were disco queens, so they went to Studio 54 and, you know, the Paradise Garage
Legends.
and the Loft. You know, they went to all the great clubs. So, and my uncle was a famous singer of salsa music. His name is Hector Lavoe, and he recorded with Willie Colon, who is the greatest producer of salsa music of all time. And he was on Fania Records. And Fania Records was a movement of Latin music. It was like Motown to R&B. Fania Records was to Latin music, salsa. So it was like the street music of New York City, you know. And my uncle was one of the leaders of the singers that everybody loved, you know. So as a child, I used to go with my mother to see him in Madison Square Garden perform, and his music has been very influential to me as well. So all these things in New York City, plus my father plays jazz. He's a saxophone player.
We know.
You know, he loved John Coltrane, Miles Davis. You know,
and you have jazz in your music, I think. And
Well, you
sometimes
know,
we can hear some
yeah.
jazz in your
It's the
music.
influence from growing up in New York City. I guess it came out in the
If
music.
you were not a DJ, what would you have been?
I don't know, maybe an airline pilot. I always wanted to fly airplanes.
Ah.
Yeah. I wanted
Why?
to fly airplanes. I love being in the sky.
And you send people to the sky when you play music.
Wow.
So if I say to you 1984, Chez Sensual,
Wow.
what would you say to me?
That's the first club that I ever played at professionally. I did 3 events in this club. And what I loved about this club, that it had a Richard Long sound system. And Richard Long was the sound designer of the Paradise Garage and Zanzibar, you know, where Larry Levan played, Tony Humphries played, you know. So, you know, the same man made the sound system in this small club in New York, in the Bronx, on Zariga Avenue. So when I did these 3 events, a man approached me and says, look, I own the Fever, which is the hip hop label, and also the club, and I'm going to open up a dance club called the Devil's Nest. I would love for you to be the resident DJ. And in 1985, that's when I began my residency in the Bronx. 86, I moved to New York City to Heartthrob, which is another club. It is the old fun house where Jelly Bean played early 80s with Madonna there, Arthur Baker. But I came later and played in this new club called Heartthrob, which was the same venue.
When did you understand that you would have become a famous DJ, one of the best?
Well, you know, in New York, even from the Bronx, I always had many people following me. Always, when I did parties, 1,200 people, 1,500 people following me in the early 80s. Just doing my own parties with my friends, promoter friends as well. You know, I also, when I started playing in the clubs, all those kids from the early 80s followed me to the clubs in the Bronx and everywhere else where I played, Heartthrob, Studio 54, so all the kids always followed me. So I always knew there was something, you know, I guess they were attracted to the way I played music, you know. So by the time it was 1986 to 1990, I was playing to 2,500 kids to 4,000 kids, you know, in New York City.
And then Masters at Work and Kenny Gonzalez.
Yeah, then 1991.